Welcome to Surrender School.
We are in Supercharge Recovery 2.0, also known as Part B, and that's because of the B, and we talked about last week why I picked the B. And the tagline for this is fewer questions, deeper answers. So you'll find most of the assignments are not as intensive as last year, because last year we were weeks, sometimes 4 weeks on each step. This time it's going to be 2 weeks on most of the steps and 1 week on some of the steps. You will almost always need a pen and paper because we'll either do a writing exercise or you'll want to take notes. I suggest you buy a beautiful journal and treat yourself and a great pen. Some people like simple journals. That's fine too. The 2026 retreat, the reduced entry fee has been extended to February 15th. I don't know what our count is right now. After this session is over, there is an intro session. Is that still happening, Lori?
Yes.
Okay, so there's an intro session for anybody who is either going to the retreat and has questions or is considering going to the retreat and has questions. So as soon as we're finished here, that will happen. And once again, it should be a lot of fun. I think all of us are going to really enjoy it. Here is a list of all the topics that we are talking about this year. Notice the check mark by February 1st means we're done with that. And that's basically your assignment was to work on the going beyond powerlessness and from coping to celebrating. Your questions would have been type specific to that. This week, we're covering embodied presence and healthy separateness. And that's what we'll be talking about and also what your assignment will be. Notice that we skip Easter weekend and we'll skip Memorial Day weekend. So we won't have sessions those weeks, although usually I can't resist and I hold an open meeting anyway, but I like a cadence. What can I say? Anyway, so take a picture of this if you want to have it. Here is the mission statement for Surrender School. At Surrender School, we recover. Our mission is to share 12-step and other supportive recovery solutions with those who want a healthy relationship with food. We are not an official 12-step meeting, but we do try to adhere to the spirit of the traditions. Let's take a moment to feel your breath going in and out and to feel your feet on the floor. Be as present as you can possibly be. And now let's say the Surrender School set-aside prayer together. God, help me to set aside everything I think I know to leave space for what I have yet to learn. So once again, we are in step 1, and this is session 1B. It is February 8th, 2026. This is Supercharge Recovery 2.0, also known as Part B. Most weeks, the breakout room will be first. Then we'll have topic 1 and topic 2, and then I will give you your homework assignment. And every week it should look pretty much like that. Let's talk a little bit about the breakout rooms. Okay, so the breakout rooms will be 20 minutes long, which is about 2.5 minutes per person. The goal of the room is to discuss the homework that you did last week. So you will read the question for your type, and each type has different questions. That's the reason we want to read the question. Also, these are not just open shares to talk about anything. That's not what the breakout rooms are about. We found out last year that it works really, really well, that if you have done the homework and you can answer the question you want to talk about, and there's 2 questions this week, so which you pick one and share on it or both, that's fine. What happens is the leader then says, they call on the person and say, go ahead and read your question. The person reads the question and then talks for 2.5 minutes. And then part of the job of the leader is when that's finished, right? It's time to say, okay, time is up. If the person continues, the leader is going to have to say, we need to move on. Thank you for your share or something nice, but be kind. Obviously, you want to be kind. But the idea here is you have 2 or 3 minutes to share on the topic. If you want to do a random share not related to the topic, wait until the end when everybody who has done the homework and wants to share on the homework does theirs. And then at the end, if there's time, you're welcome to talk about whatever you want to talk about. But we ask that just out of honor to those who've done the homework, go ahead and let that happen. And by the way, this is, okay, the next person then gets called on. So after 20 minutes, you'll be brought automatically back into the main room. If this ends up being too short, then we'll adjust, obviously. But I think 20 minutes will be about right with the type of homework that there is. Okay, today only, your group will need to decide who the leader is. Now, I sent out a list of people that I I picked as leaders, even though some of them said, I don't want to be a leader. I picked them anyway. And I was supposed to send an email out to each of them to say, are you okay doing this? And I forgot to do that part, which was bad. I'm going to mention the names of the people. If that person wants to step up and just say, yep, I'll be the leader, great. That'll take no time whatsoever. If they don't want to, then just don't do that. That's Tamara, Rosalind, Kathy M, Melissa, Kim, Kelly, Dave, and Richard. Those are the people that I had put out in the initial thing. If you are willing to do it, just say, I'm willing to be the leader. We want, because I think we should have, this is my opinion, we should have a consistent leader. Some of you will want to say, let's just do a different leader every week. There is a lot of stress to being a leader. Okay. So, and just because you have to interrupt people if they're going on and on and on, because they only get 2.5 minutes. We've all been there. We've all been to 12-step meetings. We know this happens. So anyway, and I know I'm a protector, so I want to protect the leader and I have to just give that a rest. I'm working on it. All right. So with that in mind, you'll have 20 minutes. Take only about 5 minutes to decide on the leader, or less if you can. And if it works out that you took all 20 minutes, I can't do anything about that. That's not my circus, not my monkey. Here is what you're going to be handling in the breakout rooms. The breakout rooms are 20 minutes. Today, the topics are beyond admitting powerlessness and from coping to celebrating, which was what we covered last week, what you did the homework on, and what you will share on this week, which is different than last year. Right? So I cover it first, then you do the homework, then we share. So that's the cadence that we're setting up this week because we're kind of ahead of the game. So that was last week's assignments, and that's what you're going to share on this week. All right. So this being early, and by the way, so I just want to say last year I did an intro. We did an intro session where everybody was kind of sharing initially in the room. Right. And it was relatively short, but we did that. And that kind of got everybody into the mood to share so that when we went into the breakout rooms, that's a gradient, right? As we went into the breakout rooms, people were already kind of in the sharing mood. So since you've all been around for so long, our grand experiment right now, I put topic 1 after the breakout room instead of before. That may not make sense because Lori has to set up the breakout rooms every week. So, and we can't actually put people in it until you're here. So that adds an additional little challenge to this. So, okay, Melissa, I see your hand is up, and then Becca. Go ahead, Melissa.
Yeah, I just put it in the chat that there's still a lot of people on the screen that don't have their Enneagram numbers next to their name. So I don't know if they need help in doing that, but it is helpful for even just the group itself experience where everybody can go, oh, this person is a 2. This is their answer as they answer the questions is a 2. It's a very educational experience being in the breakout rooms. That's why I'm so glad we're going to have them, because we're going to hear the different types and how they responded to the questions. So just wanted to make one more appeal to people. If they can put their numbers next to their name at the end, would be great.
Thank you. And what's interesting is the questions when you go into your type, if you look at more than one type, you'll see this. The questions are dramatically different by type from type to type. The topics are the same, beyond powerlessness and going from coping to, right? So the overall topics are the same, but inside the types, the questions are very, very different, which is pretty cool. Thank you, Melissa. Becca, to you.
So today, excuse me, our homework was to answer just the first 2 questions on going deeper.
Correct.
And then I see next time we start with step 2.
No.
Okay.
Finish 3 and 4.
Okay.
And then I introduce, right. So what you
Great.
saw on the screen that Shirley asked to show again, which I can do right now, actually. Let's do that. So this is what I'm covering when we talk. So last week I covered going beyond powerlessness and from coping to celebrating. Today, I'm going to cover embodied presence and healthy separateness. Those are the 2 topics I'm going to talk about today. You're going to do homework on it and share on it next week. So on this week, this is what I'm covering, and next week is what you're sharing on. Did everybody get a picture of this if you want to? And once again, that's the homework that you are going to do that week. All right, Tamara, to you.
Yeah, the only thing I wanted to share is that I'm really tapping into my mantra right now. Faith is believing in things unseen, and I am guided within. And because there's a lot of energy right now, and I'm just trying to focus on that for myself. And I thought that might be, I don't know, helpful to me to say. Thanks.
Thank you. Yeah, and I will say I'm showing up with a lot of energy too. And I was talking with Lori this morning. This makes me nervous. I'm used to being in control, and I'm not in control. You all are in control. Very uncomfortable for me. This might not work out. It might be a piece of shit. And and I will not be the first to say it. You are going to tell me this, but I'm trying this because that's what people said they wanted. Deep breath. Let's do this. Okay. And there's a part of me, I admit, that I hope you all come back and say, that sucked. I don't want to do that anymore. I want to have the random, let God decide the work. I would be fine with that. Move topic 1 in front, just like we did last year. I'm fine with that. But right now I'm in acceptance mode. But can you feel the energy from me coming off in waves? I'm trying really hard not to do that, but it's there. All right, Melissa, to you.
I just wanted to ease everybody's nervousness by saying, even if it doesn't go well, I'm coming back next week because this is the best show in town. And so we are going to fumble our way through, and I'm loving it. Fumble football. See the metaphor? I'm already got football in my mind.
There you go.
I don't believe the breakout rooms will be recorded. Is that true?
They're never recorded.
Perfect.
Correct.
That's what I thought. I just wanted to ease other people's minds. That is not recorded.
And I will say, this is the nice part about the breakout rooms is they're small groups, which means people can be more honest and more right. And since this is going deeper, it really is important. So I really want you, as you go through the breakout room, to ask the question, does this work well to have a static breakout room, same people every week? Or do we want to go back to what we did last year, which was random breakout rooms? So some weeks, all the 4s are in one room. I don't know how that happened, but it did, right? And then other weeks, it's different than that. Lori, your hand is up. Does that mean you are ready?
I think so.
Okay.
And as she's saying, this is a trial.
Thank you. I'm just going to show you what this says. So it would not be on the screen. I would just read it. Let's take a couple of minutes and just notice your breath. Pay attention to your breath going in and out. Don't try to control it. Don't try to do anything. Just notice. If something else comes to your attention, thank it and return to your breath. Let's see if you can pay attention to your breath for 1 minute. And then we would do 1 minute of basically paying attention to that. The question that I would have asked here is, were you able to pay attention to your breath for that 1 minute? All right. And that's embodied presence. There are a lot of people here who do meditation, and they do meditation every day, and they do it really, really well, and blah, blah, blah. I am not one of those people, right? So, but this year I am determined that I am going to become someone who does a meditation. And because, I mean, when you talk to Michael Naylor's like, oh, no. And you notice, I don't know if those of you that went to First Friday, every single time he said, do you have meditation practice, to like everybody? And I was like, I probably should have a meditation practice. So the reason that I had the visualization there, and once again, every week there will be a visualization. So topic 1 this week is obviously really short, but the idea here is all the meditation practices that I've listened to as they start, it's a matter of just like paying attention to your breath. And as something comes in, you just kind of, you say thank you and let it go. And right. And then eventually what happens is you can actually get into a meditative state. That is not something that is a practice of mine. Are there a couple of people that want to share on what you do for a meditation practice? Anybody want to talk about that for a second? Well, for more than a second, but anybody want to talk about that? Raise your hand if you do. Becca, I know that you do that, and you had your hand up before. Go ahead, Becca.
Well, actually, I have tried meditating for 30 some years, and it's actually traumatizing to me. It gets me really jacked up. And I finally read about that it can be a trigger, a trauma trigger for people. So what I need to commit to is a daily somatic practice. So presence and in my body. So that's the substitute.
Cool. Thank you. Don't know what that means, but thank you. Okay. That's just me. I study one thing at a time. Right now I'm studying Enneagram. The rest of it is like, oh, okay. Go ahead, Carmen.
I start by just saying either the serenity or some prayer of my choice, and then just sit quietly for however long. Sometimes it's just a minute or two. Sometimes it's 5 minutes. Usually a question comes up that I want to ask my higher power. And then I do a writing exercise. So I write the question down, and then I just free flow write, see what comes up, and thank my higher power for that.
Does that count as meditation? Because I do that.
Herb K has talked about it.
Yay!
Herb K has talked about it.
I do that. Well, cool. Oh, I feel so much better. Thank you, Carmen. All right, Lauren, to you.
Okay, good afternoon. Let's see, I am the whatever, and I end up feeling like a freak because nobody else hardly does it. But I came in a yogi and I did Herb K too, and I think Herb K gave me my first stability in program because he put it as the focal point. You start with it. You kind of start with step 11, and it's just presence, and it isn't that you have to sit there quietly, but it's becoming comfortable with that presence. So it was a comfort thing for me. But it doesn't mean you still don't need recovery, you guys. I mean, whatever, what you could go do meditation and whatever. Anyways, I started my 20-minute again too. I did it during the pandemic with some people. Somebody urged me to do it, and I didn't think that I should do it for all kinds of reasons. And finally, I just said, I need to sit every day. Let's just sit together. So, it's an opening and a closing and wishing people well at the end. And it got to the point where my closest friend, Rose, who's a 2, said, are you doing as soon as I would drop it or whatever. So it became evident that I needed to redo it. And when Michael Naylor's, that was exactly it the other day. I thought, really? Okay, I'm going to do it finally, So I did restart it. I'm at 6:30 Central Time, and I do it on Zoom. So I got 2 days in now.
Yeah, and I want to say too, if anybody can post Herb Case Center in Prayer information, if anybody wants to go to that, I think I've been to that one time. I did sign up for it, and I did go to it one time. I thought just fascinating stuff. Anyway, thank you, Lauren, very much. Yeah, cool. Go ahead, Shirley.
So slowly but surely not. It's more like speedy but surely. So I have 3 approaches to my meditation. One is just sit for a minute and breathe. The second one is I set my oven timer for 5 minutes so I can get up to set it, and then I can get up to turn it off, and I'm done. And the third is I attend a 12-step meeting right before Surrender School starts at 8 a.m. And they read from a daily reader, a couple paragraphs, and there's a 10-minute timed quiet meditation. So I have enlarged my village, and I put my meditation in the care of others. And the meeting happens 7 days a week. I'm going to put my phone number in the chat. Please text me if you'd like any information. Thanks.
Thank you, Shirley. Oh, I love this. This is awesome. Okay, Amy, go ahead.
Okay, I'm just going to say real quick, the teacher and me hated meditation. I thought it was like, oh my gosh, I'm a hyper person. Why are you telling me to meditate? And they wanted us to do it with the students. And I want everyone to know that mindfulness is totally different than meditation. Okay? Meditation is a simple, vague term, okay, that is a habit that you individually practice to get mental and emotional clarity for you. If that means you go and you scream and you headbang, that works for you. That's cool. If it means you journal, great. If it means you read a daily meditation for 3 minutes, if it means you have your coffee and you look at the trees and you say what you're grateful for, but don't get discouraged by the term because it is not one thing. That's what I have to offer. I hope that helps.
That helped me a lot. Thank you. Yeah, because I'm just like, well, frankly, if I'm really honest about it, every time I've tried to meditate, I fall asleep. So it's like, okay, this doesn't work. Maybe I lucidly dream. I don't know. But yeah, thank you, Amy, very much. Okay, Alham, then Binti. Go ahead, Alham.
Oh, sorry. I tried to unmute myself. I learned that praying is when I talk to God, and meditation is God talking to me. And for me, it's easier I talk to God and God talk to me. And I cannot sit still and be in presence of God. It's hard for me. Very easily I become distracted, and as more I keep bringing myself back, more I can have a little, maybe longer time. However, I am very grateful. Somebody mentioned two-way prayer to me, and I went to these groups And they taught me, write a letter to God about whatever is in my mind. And then next page, have God write back to me. And what God tells me I write back to me is all of my own goodness, all the things I learned that answers my own questions, my own, the result of how I can solve this. And then this became so helpful for me to be able to connect to that higher power, because in my mind I couldn't, but on the paper. And then sometimes when I'm not even writing in my own mind, I say things to God and then have God answer me back. And I make that my prayer and then meditation. And that is the only way I can connect to that power and get the help.
Awesome. Thank you, Elham. Okay,
Thank
Binti,
you.
to you, and then we'll move on. Thank you. All right, go ahead, Binti.
Yeah, actually, Adam's just said what I was going to say. I used to meditate for hours a long time ago, and the more, funnily enough, the more embodied and the more connected with myself and my emotions and my body and my nervous system I get, the less I could, there was a lot of bypass, I think, in my meditation before. But now the most useful thing I find is two-way prayer. I find it absolutely phenomenal. I'm just doing it all. I really look forward to it as well. Every morning, writing and then writing back and knocking out the way the perfectionist part of me says, this is really God or spirits talking to you, or is just you talking to you. And I just shove all that lot out the way and just do it. And it's so at the heart of my recovery. It's actually quite blown me away. I've been hearing about it for ages. And actually, I can't recommend the practice enough. I found it just comes alive. As soon as I start to do it, it's like something just comes alive inside it. And it is great. That's me. Thank you.
Thank you, Binti. And I'll say, I know that there's some fear in me. I'm not sure what I'm afraid of. I don't know what it is, but it feels like fear that makes me hesitate from doing that. But from listening to you guys, it's like, okay, right? Maybe nothing to fear but fear itself. And I'm sure it's tied to control in some way. All right, let me share the screen.
Oh, can I just say quickly, sometimes
Yes,
I need to keep it really simple. And it's just like I just say to God, hi, help, or something. And God just says back to me, got it.
awesome. Thank you, Binti. Yeah.
And that works.
And maybe I do tend to overcomplicate things, so it could be that for sure. All right, I am going to cover this, and basically what it tells me is if you notice the little icons on the left here, right? So, and the types, and at the top it says, how can I, and then I'm going to do something without doing something else, right? And so the idea here is all about how can I do whatever without whatever. When it's all finished, the whole screen will be here. And at that moment in time, Shirley, you want to take a picture. And anybody else that wants the whole screen will want to take a picture, because I will unfold these one at a time. What I'm asking you to do is, when it's your type, just see if it resonates with you, because that's what we're going to be talking about is, does it resonate with you? Okay, so for the one, how can I allow others to be themselves without correcting or instructing? If you are a type 1, right, this is the question basically for you. How can I allow others to be themselves without correcting or instructing? For the 2, and this is what we're going to discuss when we come out of this, right? Is your type, how can you be this without doing that? All right, so the 2 is, how can I connect without putting my needs last? So 2s, you may want to write this in your journal so that you have it on your journal. You might want to write that down, because this is what you're going to talk about when we open it for sharing. For the 3, How can I show up honestly without polishing or overperforming? So for the 3, how can I show up honestly without polishing or overperforming? For the 4, how can I stay present without withdrawing, comparing, or reacting? How can I stay present without withdrawing, comparing, or reacting? For the 5, how can I remain engaged without pulling away? For the 6, how can I stay present with uncertainty without needing assurance or taking control? I'm going to try to move this. Okay. For the 7, how can I stay present with discomfort without trying to move past it now? For the 8, how can I let someone support me without taking charge of their experience or protecting them from the experience? And what I was experiencing this morning as an 8, and actually have for the last, since we decided to let the groups decide their own everything, I'm trying to protect the leaders from, it's like, why? Everybody will be fine. But there is something in me. How can I let someone support me without taking charge or feeling like I have to protect them from their experience, right? It's, drives me crazy. Okay. And for the 9, how do I stay connected without disappearing or going along automatically? How can I stay connected without disappearing or going along automatically? Okay, I'm going to leave this up. Everybody that wants to take a picture of the whole thing. This gives you basically all of those questions for all the different types. How can I be something without some other action? All right. So moon shadow is, did this connect for you? And then the second part of that question, right? If it connected, great. How can you ensure that you will work on this? Right? That's really what we want to talk about, because that's basically what we're going to be working on as the week comes in. Did it resonate?
Share, is this section the healthy separate?
Yes, it is. This is the healthy separateness. Yep. This is that section. Okay. So, and once again, before we get started, what I want to do is, for those from last year, by the way, I always talk about there's a cadence, and if you as an instructor, okay, there's a cadence that we have, and everybody gets used to that cadence, and then we all feel comfortable with the cadence. I'm changing the cadence. That's why everybody feels like you're stutter stepping, because last year you did the homework and then I covered it. This year we've done the opposite because we're actually more organized. So I am covering the topic, then you'll do the homework, then you share next week on this topic deeper. Right? That's what you'll do. And that's with all the 2 topics. So what I'm covering right now is going to look suspiciously like what your homework is. And then that is what you're going to share on next week, which is different than last year. So it'll feel a little stutter steppy until it doesn't. But this is it's a really good way to go deeper, which is what we're trying to do, is go deeper. All right. So go ahead, Charlene.
Thank you, Cher. Yeah, so I finally identified as a type 1. And as you went through that, they all resonated with me. And I thought I was a type 6. So maybe other people have the same question. If they all resonated with them, maybe I'm a type 6. So how do you, any suggestions?
No, I just decide which one you want to work on and stick with that. That's all I would suggest.
But I'm indecisive.
They will all to some degree. They will all to some degree.
Don't worry.
They will do that. Yeah, I wouldn't worry about it. Do you correct people? If you correct people all the time, you're probably a 1. That's usually not. I mean, they can't help themselves. That, right? If that makes sense. That's usually the 1's thing. If you're super duper duper afraid of things, doesn't mean you don't do things, but you're very, very afraid. Like you feel the adrenaline pumping through your system, even though it's not a bear that's jumped in front of you. That is usually the counter 6 is opposite than that, but it's possible that it's that. If all of them resonate, maybe 1 will resonate more than the others. I think that's maybe the way to look at it. But if you have determined you're a 1, I would stick with doing the work for the 1.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, Melissa.
The type 4 question was so on point, and all I can say is how it said, how can I stay present without withdrawing, comparing, or reacting? And my first thought is, I didn't even know I wasn't staying present because I disassociate Olympic level. I do that like so good. And I was told that in treatment, and I didn't know how, and I still have a hard time not doing the withdrawing, comparing, or reacting. So that's where my growth is going to be. And all Michael Naylor said on Friday to us is, hey, start noticing. Just start noticing. For at least a week or two, just notice. Don't try to master it. Just notice it. That's progress. So I love my question. I love all the questions. And it's wonderful that we can relate to many of them. But just like you said, share, pick one type and stick with it.
Yeah.
Thank
and I'm
you.
going to say too, when I read the four, because I've taken this from the homework, right? I read the four and I'm like, I've just taken away all their options. Like no options left. Withdraw,
I'm
react,
naked.
compare.
I'm naked. I know. Thanks,
I
Cher.
know.
Thank you very
But
little.
it's great.
Okay.
Yeah, but once again, I love what Michael Naylor said. You notice. That's the first thing. Awareness is first, then acceptance of that awareness, and then action. Awesome. Thank you. All right, Rosalind, to you. Thanks, Melissa.
Thanks, Cher. As Melissa, I'm a 4, and you didn't take away anything. You actually identified. So you helped me identify it. But I am so grateful to be, and humble to be here, because when I first came in, I was all over the place, withdrawing, comparing, reacting. I mean, just everywhere. And I'm finding that I'm learning that those are deep wounds why I do that, and that I presently today celebrating I don't have to do that, and how I can address it now today is it a fact, or is it just something in my head? And so once I can get those two aligned, I can pull myself, well, with the power of of my help with God, get myself back out of that, where I find myself transition into wounded victim. And I mean, I talking like this, Cher, this was not me over a year ago. So thank you very, very much for what you've done and
Thank you.
still do. Thank you.
And I will say in Supercharge one of the things I used to say is like we begin by saying, am I telling myself a story here? And eventually that evolves to, what story am I telling myself? Because every time, every interpretation that we have is some story I'm telling them. If I'm feeling bad about whatever it is, right? I am telling myself a story, because it's not personal. It's not about me. So if somebody treats me badly, it's not about me. It's like, okay, what is the story I'm telling myself? And once we can do that, then we become the observer, and that's when we can get well. Yeah, that's awesome.
Thank you.
So Richard, to you.
What works better for me, with what you said about without being, is how can I allow others to be themselves without being frustrated or judgmental? And it's a slightly different style of that. And my response to that is, it helps me so much, breathe with a big exclamation point after it. That definitely does. The other thing is my mantra. Not everything is my responsibility. And those two things are helpful. And I would love to say that I'm always in the healthy range. And it's just, I love being there, but it's easy to fall back.
Okay, go ahead, Albert. Thank you, Richard.
Okay. Oh, thank you. I just want to say, I just try to make discernment about what is healthy withdrawal or not, because, yeah, I'm reacting whatever, I see here, comparing, all the time. But sometimes I need to go in withdrawal to deal with my emotion, which in this moment of my life, it's so overwhelming. And I don't know, which is good, because you say something important. I make the story in my head, now I love some guys, and every time he do something with someone, I make the story, and then I cry, and I react about the story that I have inside, but it's really overwhelming for me, and I have to go out. I can't still with people because I cry all the time. And I say, it's good that, or I have to do something else. I don't know, because even be present about my emotion, I don't know which is good or not. Oh my
So
God.
I mean, I do hear what you're saying, because once again, when I read that, I'm like, well, because one of the growth patterns, I think, for a 4, at least, and once again, I'm not an expert, but it seems like, is that it was always react, and now I withdraw and process before I react. Now, I'm not a 4, but right, it's that. So I would say, yeah, the withdrawing is better than just like all out reacting, yes, but it's still not staying present. And that's really the point, is how do I stay present here? If I can just say, that's a story, I'm going to process that later. Can I be present and just enjoy the moonlight? Can I enjoy the whatever it is, and not have to have the story right now, right? So because, and once again, I'm not really good at staying present either, so I get this, but the idea is, for the 4, can I stay present and not go into my, and it's really interesting because it feels like into your heart, but it's actually into your mind, right? And you basically doing whatever it is that 4s do. So ideally, right, it is, I don't withdraw, I don't compare, I don't react. What I do is stay present, right? Now, that is like way down the road. And Michael Naylor will tell you it takes years to get there, and that's fine. But the main part, and this is what Melissa said earlier, is the first thing you do is you notice. You
Yeah.
notice, first of all, and you celebrate the fact that you're not reacting like you used to react. You just, you know what, I'm not going to do that. If I have to withdraw
Yeah.
to process, I do that. That's what I do. But you notice, and that's where we're at right now. We're still just noticing, and then we'll accept that. So it's that awareness that it's happening. And eventually we get to acceptance of the different parts of it. And then eventually we get to an action that says, that isn't how I am. And then we all turn into Mother Teresa. I'm kidding. I mean, I have
Yeah.
no idea what happens down the road, but
Yeah.
we're on the journey anyway. So all
Oh
right.
yeah, I can tell you something quickly. In fact, I observe my struggle when I speak with someone and the story come up because happened something outside of me, and say, okay, Ambra, be present, as you said, with this person right now. But sometimes I see my story come. It's okay, just to try to be present
That's
without,
right.
yeah, struggle.
Exactly.
Yeah. And quickly, I just want to say the homework, yeah, maybe you say, but the homework, it's related even to answer the question about how can I be present, withdrawn, and
I'll
whatever.
cover the
Yeah.
homework. I'll cover the homework
Okay,
so that,
that's it.
yeah,
Okay.
perfect. Thank you, Amber. Okay, go ahead, Kim.
Hi. So yeah, this the question about staying present, all of that, it's like life is making me, forcing me right now to do exactly this. And how can I ensure that I'll keep working on it? Because life just keeps, the thing with my brother, he's still in the hospital. He is maybe a little bit improving, but I like have no control over any of this. And there is total uncertainty. And without needing reassurance. So I'm having to sit on my hands and not text my sister-in-law constantly, anything new, because this is going to be a long recovery for him. So there's not going to be anything new on a daily basis. And then, so like, how can I ensure I'll work on this? I have no choice. I have no choice. Life on life's terms.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, and I've told this story before where I had decided that I was going to work on communication. I've made up my mind. This is what I am going to do. I've decided. I never included my higher power in that at all. And a year later, I was beating myself up like, you're avoiding it. You're not doing it. And it occurred to me, I have never asked my higher power into this. And so I did so. And I feel like I am working on it now. And so the way that I feel like, how can I ensure I'll work on this, is I need to right now pray to my higher power that he will walk me through it. So anyway, so thanks for letting me share.
Awesome. Thank you. And I want to say this book, if you can see it, Build Yourself Up Without Limits, which Amber covered. We just finished this book. We just finished it. And I think we're going to start it again. If you want to come to, we'll decide time and all that. It'll be on the website because it talks about, I'm going to call it prayer formations, which is a practice that you do that basically, just like Kim said, it invites your greater power into the things that you're doing. That's awesome. Okay, go ahead, Cheryl.
Hi, everybody. I'm Cheryl, and I'm a type 4. And it was brought to my attention that maybe I wasn't a type 4, maybe I was a 2. And I come up with the final results. I did a little work on type 2 as I was, it was recommended. And when I see this withdrawing, comparing, and reacting, yes, I definitely see myself withdrawing from people, from withdrawing from life, withdrawing from situations, and always comparing myself, always putting myself down, comparing myself, reacting. Oh, that's why I'm here. And the 2, I did not see myself of it as I didn't recognize it at all. So I would like to say the results as I'm staying a 4, and a person who has trouble making decisions. When I heard about this, it was like starting to drive me nuts too. I took the test, and maybe I'm not this. Am I this? Am I this? Am I? And I was just driving myself crazy. I was not thinking about trying to help anybody in their situations. No, no offense to the 2s, but I'm not a 2.
Okay,
So,
awesome.
I feel good that I can continue on as a 4, and I also enjoyed that book that we just finished today, and I'm so enjoying this Echo. Uh, what is it called? 2. What's it called, Cher? I'm drawing a
Supercharge,
blank.
Supercharge
Yes,
2.0.
that.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
God, I hate when I
And
hit.
share and exactly what you did is exactly what you should do, right? Because the tests point you in a direction, right? What you say points people that listen to you in a direction, but you yourself have to determine what type you are. Because I don't, it's like that motivation, that basic fear, basic desire, all that stuff comes from inside of you. So perfect. I'm so glad
Right.
that you
So much
landed on 4.
excellent for going deeper. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Go ahead, Joy.
I loved looking at that. How do I stay connected without putting my needs last? That has been my whole life, is putting my needs last, and it's been a very selfish thing that I never saw before as selfish because I am less when I do that. Not across the board, physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. I am denying my own needs, so I cannot show up. What I do, I don't know how this practice came, but when I notice that I'm not comfortable, when I notice something is wrong, I will say it out loud. When I'm with a program friend and all of my friends are pretty much program friends, I, I might say, I'm uncomfortable. Then actually, I want to learn about my feelings and what my body's doing. So I do name those things. I'm like, what's happening in my body? Okay, what am I feel? I'm just learning how to do that, right? And then the feeling pillow, thank you, Kim. Um, I look at the feeling wheel and I name it. I really do hug that thing at times. Um, and it's usually more than one feeling. But the important questions are, what do I need right now? What do I need? And it could be water, it could be quiet time, it could be a walk, it could be a reassurance, it could be space. Um, and then I ask, um, if I'm going to be doing something or I have to do something, because a lot of times I feel like I have to do something, is this out of love or is it trying to get something? Is it trying to get my needs met through someone else? Um, and another question I ask is, if I do this, am I going to resent it later? So those are some things. And then, okay, so now I'm just going to say what I do with my son. It would work with others too. But my son, man, he calls. A lot of times I'm in a meeting or something like that. And with this transition to Indiana, I have this boundary, right? I will say to him, I care about you. I love you. I'm with you. But right now I'm at my limit. Or right now I'm in a meeting. Right now, right before today, I'm sorry I have to go. And he's getting louder and anxious. But mom, I care about you. I I have to go. And I will tell him I can, what I can do, or I can't do that now. And then when I can. So learning how to do these boundaries, it's all so imperfect right now. And I can't do them sometimes without having a reaction or a tone or whatever. I'm working on changing that, but that's what I'm doing.
All
Thanks.
right. Thank you, Joy. Okay, Jasmine, then Kay, then Francine, and then we'll move on. Go ahead, Jasmine.
Joy nailed it. But so I was speaking about in the breakout room how I have like an external scanner. What does this person need? What does this person need? What's wrong? What's wrong? And just being able to flip that thing back into me and always be scanning my body, my emotions. It's just, it works for me. My brain works like that. So I'm flipping the scanner, especially when I'm around people, especially when I'm in a group setting, and then asking directly, verbalizing my need. So instead of like, it's kind of like the mantra. It's just asking directly, okay, right now I don't need this. I don't need the tone or the criticism or whatever, or the whatever, and just directly stating what I need. What I do need right now is a little bit of time to think for a second. I need a pause, just saying it. And using the somatics that Becca talked about, like I just have to literally tap on myself sometimes, like, hey, right here, me, come back. And tapping helps me to reorient myself and stop being so externally focused. And of course, pray and pray like crazy throughout the day. I pass.
Thank you, Jasmine. And yeah, because the people that we're with, they have their own shit too, right? They're all trying to figure out their life too, right? And yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for that. All right, Kay, to you, then Jasmine, then Lori. Go ahead.
Yes, I have a question, and it must be because I don't want to know the answer,
Okay.
But let someone support me, and it says without taking charge of their experience or protect them. I am confused. This means, as I don't want to be supported because I am very strong. That is why I disguise and think about the others share. Something like that. I'm a little bit confused.
So I think the whole, so since I'm an 8 like you are, I think the whole nervousness that I felt about the breakout rooms was because I wasn't in control of the breakout rooms. I was letting someone, maybe God, be in control of the breakout rooms. And I realized that protecting them from the experience, I was worried about whoever was going to lead, and I want to protect them from the experience of people being unkind to them. What? This is the kindest group I've ever known. That's not going to happen. But there's something in me that's rising up saying, oh, I need to protect them. And so instead of connecting with people, instead of being present, instead of being part of I felt, right? I mean, and what happens is that ego structure jumps up. And it's the same thing. I can be a room with people that don't even know me, and the shit hits the fan, and they all turn to me and say, what are we going to do? Well, okay, and I'll come up with something. It might be stupid, but I'll come up with something. And so that idea that I need to take control is what gets in my way, because that is my ego. That is the ego part of me that thinks the world will be better if I'm in control. No, the world is not better if I'm in control, but somehow I believe that. So that's what that means, right? I'm trying to basically control their experience in my experience, or protect them from having to experience whatever they experience. And guess what? I don't get to control anything. That is why, by the way, step 1 is so important. for an 8 for sure. I have to acknowledge that I'm powerless over reality, right? Because I used to think literally, even when the times I was scared, I felt like if I could just sit here and wring my hands, things would turn out well. What does my wringing my hands have to do with things turning out well? Nothing. But I felt like maybe it did, right? So that's what it means.
I want to say it just reminded me of something. I am walking around with a sword in my hands. That's what came out up to me. Protect everybody, protect me, protect everybody, because something is going to happen really bad.
And somehow
Okay.
I can keep it from happening, and you can't. Right? Yep.
Okay.
Exactly. Okay. So we're at the top of the hour. Francine, I'm gonna have you finish. Lori, is that why your hand is up? Because we're at the top of the hour? So go ahead, Francine. Oh, I have to cover homework. Francine, are you okay if I cover homework first and then we come back? Okay, let me do that while everybody is still here. Let me share my screen again. All right, let's celebrate our victories. Remember, if you are asking the question all day long, what's wrong with me? What's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong? You kind of are. Instead, use your mantra during those times that you say, "What's wrong?" Just the mantra, okay? And the mantra, once again, if you need it, it's out on the Surrender School website. For me, it's in my vulnerability lies my strength. It is not my strength that gives me strength. It's my vulnerability that gives me strength. And we are both, right? So you're a healthy mixture of both of those together basically is what allows us to celebrate our victories. Okay. So remember, your boundaries are type specific. Here is what your homework is. And it will be out. Actually, I probably need to show you the website too. Okay, so Joy, can you get ready to share and just show the website? Can you do that so that I'm not wandering around in here? Okay, the assignment is in Going Deeper, step 1, questions 3 and 4. So there are different sections 3 and 4. So the questions that are tied to that, just like you did 1 and 2 this week, next week is 3 and 4. And guess what they are? Embodied presence and healthy separateness. Those are the assignments. That's what I covered today. Then you're going to do the homework, and then you're going to share on it during the breakouts next week. Joy's going to show you where on the website you see the homework.
Okay, since you're all here, this is the Supercharge page. In case you don't know how to get to it, this is our home page. If you go down to Supercharge,
where the B is, where the little B is,
go to the Supercharge page. If you scroll down, you will see last week the homework was Beyond Admit Powerlessness, from Cope to Celebrate. That was the topic, and that was what the homework was on. The breakout rooms today focused on Beyond Admitting Powerlessness and From Coping to Celebrate. Today, we did embodied presence and healthy separateness. And this is your homework. Now, I'm just going to go to type 2 because that's the best type. Okay, here was our type 2. To get to the Going Deeper, you just go to the bottom. This is, and you see, today, last week, we talked about the belief to embodied. Wait, type 2, that was step 2. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was going to say your head. There you go. Type 2, step 1. There you go.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm going to the Going Deeper. There was last week we covered these, and then today you did these 2 in the breakout room. Today we covered this, Shara covered this. You're going to answer these 2 questions, and next week that will be what your breakout room is about.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thanks for recovering with us.